So, let's talk about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. 2022 is honestly the strangest year for Pinocchio since there are so many adaptations which are either live action or animated. Which the one, well, of course, close to the original Disney film is of course the live action remake, which to be fair, when I first saw this film, I should have kept my expectations low. And the other is,
when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
You already know. But then there's Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which was actually a film that was set for quite a while now, since it's almost been more than a decade since 2008. That this film did not get the right time to shine. But luckily, Netflix came in and actually did make Guillermo's dream come true. So now, and as I saw this film, it was indeed a fantastic film. And you wondering, well, why? Well, this may be kind of similar to the Disney one, but with a different catch to it. This film is mostly set around Italy in World War II, in this version of Geppetto, he had a son named Carlo, but then actually got blown up by one of his enemies in the World War II for obvious reasons. So then he created a wooden boy just to represent as Carlo, and then thanks to a spirit named Woodsprite, he makes him come to life and actually get him to have the message of honesty, and actually trying to get a lot more about the world. And also that Sebastian doing the work for Pinocchio to actually make him learn about Earth and all that stuff. And to be fair, this film is quite an emotional film. There are some moments that can feel dark, and even for some of the deaths with so many villains dying. Well, to be fair, I actually kind of spoiled it away, but you already know how they would go. But and the saddest moments are actually with some scenes around the second act or maybe even the first act for Carlo's death. But the ending is probably what makes one of the most saddest endings we have for a long time since Coco. And I'll even give that this film isn't too dark to be put on some dark animated films list, since it does have some light-heart moments, especially with the humor from Sebastian J. Cricket. And I'll give that the humor is actually pretty funny, thanks to the great directing by Guillermo. I'll even say now that, thanks to great directing, the characters are very developed and actually pretty one of the more best parts about the film. Especially with some of the characters like Pinocchio, where he was just created and kind of acts a bit naive, but to be fair, he was just created and still trying to know about life, which it actually does help with the film's message. And Geppetto, while he can be a bit cruel and act a bit hard time to deal with Pinocchio ever since he created him and actually kind of got scared at first, he still does have a heart for the boy, of course. Sebastian J. Cricket is also a supporter and loyal man to Pinocchio to make him alive, but he actually does give out some nice humor. Count Four may seem your typical villain, but it's actually a pretty intimidating villain, especially from a great voice acting by Christoph Waltz. Sebastian may seem as your typical monkey character, but he's actually a pretty fun character to watch. And I'll even give that Podesta as actually a pretty imitating one of the more side villains, and especially with other characters you might see at the end, which I won't spoil, but he will appear and you might know who that is. And I'll even give that both Woodsprite and Death actually are pretty interesting, of course, where one's about life and death and the other one's about creating life, of course. And the list goes on. And I'll even give that the actors did a great impression of the characters, where they actually make them sound real and very emotional, especially throughout the sad scenes, with the more highlight ones like Christopher Waltz as Count Volpe, as I said, and Ron Perlman as Podesta. And the animation is just beautiful. To the character designs having a little bit dark, but actually still have a complex design that actually works in the type of tone this film goes through. The character animation is actually pretty smooth, especially for like characters like Spaz or even Pinocchio just having a little fun with his movements and all that. And I will give that the backgrounds actually have some nice details, like with Italy and how even it's kind of like shady and I mean it kind of look nice at first, but it kind of shady whenever World War II stuff comes in. And I will give that the effects, while even if it is obvious that they're CGI, they actually still look good to be fair. And it does kind of like give like a hard job to like give out effects for stop motion films like this. So I can't really blame them to be fair. So yeah, and the animation is probably like one of the best ways on how stop motion has actually really improved with the animations, just like how they did before. Especially with the other stop motion film this year, Wonder and Wild. And as for the songs, they're actually pretty good and actually quite nice to listen to. While even some of the songs are kind of like the weakest part about the film, since to be fair, the songs are actually the weakest part about the film in general. Well, they're not bad. They actually are still good to listen to. It's just that they're not really one of the more memorable parts about the film when you're comparing this to the story, the characters, and the animation. But I'll give it that there actually are two songs that I actually find to be one of my favorites. Especially like two, which are Everything Is New to Me, and of course Ciao Papa, which is already nominated for Best Original Score at Golden Globes, and hopefully it does the same at Academy Awards. Which I might check that later, since I haven't really checked Academy Awards in a while, but you know me, I'm not really good at my job. Sure, the songs are nice to listen to, but not really the memorable ones. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is honestly one of the best animated films of stop motion that we honestly had in a while. With the exception of Wonder and Wild, of course. The story had a great direction and of course great writing in there. The animation is beautiful. The characters are memorably likable and actually quite entertaining with great voice acting. And even a lot of songs who are not really the memorable ones are actually still nice to listen to. And I implore you people to go watch this movie. This film will definitely will make you actually be interested and actually be worth your time. And I actually like how Guillermo is actually making this film feel like it's more of a medium more so than a genre. Even to like other films nowadays we had in 2022 that are actually just more tender like in the genre instead of the medium. And I'm actually quite glad that this film exists to actually get not just mine but everyone's attention. And that's why I'm giving this the seal of masterpiece. And after all these years since 2008, this film was always worth the wait. Next time on Kyle's Reviews is...
The wishing star is in the dark forest. We step through as one. Ready? 1, 2, after you!
Wait, what?
Dog? Still alive?
Let's go find out!
Wait!
Oh, Papa, mio Papa, time has come to say farewell.